Well, hello. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, took a little trip, talked to a few people, those kind of things. Talked to some old narc friends. But the reason I'm here today, just got back actually last night. Um, Several of you asked me to tell some stories, share some stories. So I'm going to do that with this video and see how it goes. Now, this isn't the beginning of my undercover work, but I'm going to call this Undercover Beginning number one or something to that effect, because this is where I kind of got started into the biker scene, which is where I did, I think, the most important work that I did is Undercover Narcotics. So, I'm going to start out by talking about a well-known businessman, and I kind of teased you with this on another video. And we're going to call him Ralph. I think there's a good chance that he's deceased at this point. We're going to call him Ralph, just to make sure I don't offend anybody. Maybe he straightened out his life, who knows. He was a famous businessman in Colorado. He played his commercials all the time on the television, promoting a business that he had. And he was, like I said, well known throughout Colorado and actually lots of places in the United States, because it was a business that he operated all over the United States and even in other countries. I won't say any more about him other than everybody knew who he was. You could mention his first or last name and everybody knew who it was. Now, it wasn't Ralph, but we're going to call him Ralph today. Ralph had two problems, addictions. Actually, three. He liked ladies of the night, he liked his cocaine, and he was an alcoholic. So those three addictions or problems in your life will get you in trouble, guarantee you. And the way it got him in trouble was he was in a motel, kind of a mid to lower range motel where you parked right outside your room. And he had two of these ladies in his room, and he had a substantial amount of cocaine, and he told me all kinds of stories about how they induced this cocaine. I won't go into that, a little too graphic. And of course there was a lot of drinking going on. So he's having a ball for a couple of days with these gals in this motel room. I'm not sure what went wrong, but the controller of the two ladies shows up at the motel. A disturbance develops, and there's shots fired. And the two girls and their controller are able to get away before the cops arrive. But as the cops do arrive, there's a bullet hole in Ralph's Mercedes. There's cocaine in his Mercedes, and there's cocaine in the room that he rented in his name. So he gets arrested. So, like I said, those three addictions will get you in trouble, and that was the first big trouble that he'd had. So now he's arrested with a substantial amount of cocaine and probably some other charges, I'm not sure. Bottom line is, some time goes by, a few weeks, probably his first court appearance and that kind of thing, and I'm told to meet this high-powered attorney that I knew of at one of our locations. When I get there, I meet this high-powered attorney, and I meet Ralph for the first time. And I'm told a little bit of Ralph's problem, and he's wanting to work off some or part of his charges. He wants to avoid jail time because it's going to run his business. He's a millionaire. And the last thing he can afford to do is lose his business. He makes a lot of money. So he's willing to do just about anything. So we negotiate, and of course, someone like that has to do a pretty substantial deal with the narcs for the DA to ever approve a reduction in the sentencing, or maybe let him get off without jail time so it's not all over the press. He just wanted to keep it quiet. And that's understandable. So I'm assigned to work with him. And we went to work that night. First night, we're heading to my undercover car, and he goes, no. We're not going in that. I won't tell you what my car was. He tosses me the keys to his Mercedes. So from that point on, we were in his Mercedes, and we worked together for a number of weeks. Well, we go directly to a nightclub, a strip club. That's where he liked to hang out. And I never experienced anything like that. I'd been in a lot of clubs. I had city money to spend all the time. I could tip the girls, and once we would make buys from these girls sometimes, or they would direct us to someone who could sell us usually small amounts of cocaine or meth or whatever it might be. But when I walk in with Ralph, first of all, the bouncer at the door, and I'm going to call him Kirk, and I know that he's deceased at this time, but he was a biker associate, big dude, pushing 300 pounds, muscular, nobody to mess with. And he was a biker club associate, and he was the bouncer of the club. He kind of controlled the girls at the club, which is true in a lot of these clubs, that the bikers control a good percentage of the girls. So we don't pay a cover. Before we can even hardly get in the place, there's 3 or 4 dancers arranging a table, apparently Ralph's favorite spot, and they're pulling up chairs, and we're seated. They're bringing him his regular drink that he always drank, and I'm not sure what I ordered, but we started drinking, and we had more attention than I'd ever seen in a club before. And found out quickly why that was. Most people in the bars tip with dollar bills. They put a dollar bill in the girl's outfit or toss it on the stage or whatever. Well, Ralph didn't use $1 bills. He used 5s, 10s, and sometimes 20s. So we had lots of attention from the girls. At any given time, we had 2 to 4 girls all over us. Everybody wanted Ralph's attention. And I hit it off pretty good with Kirk, the bouncer. And he basically asked me to try to keep Ralph under control, because I guess he'd had a reputation of getting out of control with the girls inside the bar. So I told him, no problem, I've got him under control. So Ralph and Kirk kind of butted heads, because Ralph wanted the freedom. He thought he had enough money, he could do whatever. Long and short of it, this went on for 4 or 5 nights a week for a number of weeks, always in his Mercedes, always lots of attention. I did make a couple of small buys from people that the girls directed me to, but they were small, little cocaine buys. But Ralph needed to do a big one. He needed to do a big connection for me, like, at least a pound or multi-pounds of cocaine to ever get the DA's attention and give him the big break that he was after. So this continued, and the girls got more and more friendly. And then one night, Kirk had arranged for us to meet the big guy, or a big guy, somebody that could do a large quantity of cocaine. And this person had come down from Denver. So Ralph picks out a couple of the girls that he wants to get off early and go with us to meet this individual. And Kirk obviously had to make the introduction, so he got off work too. So we leave. Ralph's driving his Mercedes. Kirk's in the passenger seat riding shotgun. I'm in the back seat with the 2 strippers. Obviously, any good narc or good cop knows there's a line in the sand and you don't cross it. And as tempting as it might be, I didn't cross that line and never did. But it was kind of a fun trip listening to these girls as we drove to a steakhouse. We get to the steakhouse, we go in. Ralph had obviously been there before too, because we were treated with special care and taken to a kind of a private area. And then Kirk gets on the phone, apparently lets the party we're meeting know that we're there, and he comes in just moments later, so he must have been in the parking lot. And in comes another huge dude, a little bit older, but huge. And I won't say his name at all, but right away I learned that he's a former Denver Bronco. He can no longer play football, so he makes a living at selling drugs to high-end people. So we have our dinner, and interestingly enough, Kirk, the ex-Denver Bronco, go to the bathroom together several times. Kirk takes the dancers one at a time somewhere, I'm assuming to the bathroom. And Ralph goes to the bathroom with this ex-Bronco. And I'm assuming, and I'm sure, I learned later, that they did in fact, snort some cocaine while they were out of everybody's sight. And of course they tried to get me to go, and I had to tell them, no, I'm doing business. I don't mess with that stuff when I'm doing business. When you work undercover narcotics, you always have to have a story so that you don't do the drugs. So that turned into a pretty big deal. I won't go much into more detail on that. But I'm in with the biker scene because of Kirk. This deal went pretty good. We didn't make any arrests right away. So everything's smooth. Nobody suspects anything. So that was kind of the beginning of me getting into the biker scene. And it all came from this Kirk, the bouncer at this nightclub. So that was kind of the beginning. I got in much deeper, of course, and you'll find that out probably in maybe the next story I start to share. But due to Kirk's accepting me and me being seen with Ralph at a number of clubs, but this one particular club where Kirk worked was the main place. That's where it all started. Now, he bounced at other clubs also, and I may get into those stories at another time. So that's kind of what happened through Ralph and Kirk, and I'm basically in. You always need an introduction. This was kind of an accidental introduction. Ralph approached me toward the end of our working relationship, and I think he got a pretty good deal from the DA's office. He never did any jail time. His business continued. They were able to keep it under the radar because he did a big enough deal. But Ralph approached me and wanted me to go to work for him. He wanted me to leave the police department, come to work for me, and he offered me a salary. I was at least 3 times what I was making as a cop. He even took my wife and I and his wife out to dinner a couple of times, showed us around his business, promised me this money and all these travel expenses because we needed to travel a lot. And he just wanted somebody with him, I guess, maybe kind of for protection, I don't know. But of course my wife wasn't going for it at all. She got very bad vibes from Ralph right away. His wife was actually a real sweetheart. And of course, now that she knows that we're doing business together, she wants me to watch out for him, not let him get too drunk. I don't think she realized what else he was doing. I think she suspected a lot of things, but I don't think she knew everything. But anyway, that was how it got started. And I'll continue this story if this goes over at all and take you to the next level of me getting in deeper with the biker clubs. I did get my book published, House Secrets. This is actually my first copy. And It's fairly long, 400 and some pages. It's on Amazon Books. I hope enough of you are interested in what I did that you will maybe purchase my book. We'll leave a link for that. And if you do read it and like it, I hope you will do a review, because the more reviews you get, the closer in the queue you get to the front of the line, and you better chances of getting on the bestseller list. And that's really what I've been working at for 4 or 5 years on this book. Started out as a screenplay, then it turned into a TV series. We broke it down and tried to promote it as a TV series. Never could find the people that would give us the green light. And then I shopped around, found a couple of filmmakers, and we talked about turning it into a movie. And that's still my dream. So if you know a movie maker, somebody with enough money to make an indie film, I'd sure be interested. So check out House Secrets on Amazon Books by Perry Freeman. Hope you buy it. And I hope you come back to see the next stories, and I'll take you deeper into the biker world and some of the things that happen there. A little bit of everything. Everything from just the drugs, the women, deaths, meth labs, you name it. So that's it for today. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the subscriptions. They seem to have picked up lately. Should have 4,000 subscribers here in the next few days. It's funny because I had 2,000 in 2 or 3 weeks until Facebook pushed me to the back of the list there in the queue. And I think it was just the analytics. I think I said some words that they don't allow. So I have to be careful. But I appreciate you guys. I love the comments. To know that people actually have some interest in what I've done means a lot. So thanks, and I'll see you next time with another story.